All right, welcome. Today we're going to journey into the incredible world of Arreqqana. We're going to explore this really unique and honestly profound form of spiritual therapy that's all centered around an archetype they call the listener of the mind flame. But let's start with a question for you. Think about this for a second. When someone is talking to you, do you find yourself listening to more than just their words? Do you hear the emotion, the rhythm, the actual tone underneath it all? Do you kind of sense the energy that's shaping what they're saying? If you're nodding along, thinking, yeah, I do that, well, in the world of Arreqqana, you're not just being perceptive. You're actually tapping into a practice that defines one of their rarest and most sacred spiritual roles. And that role is the Qhimi'Velarra. It basically means one who listens to the mind's fire. Now, this is not your typical therapist. They're a guide who listens with what's described as resonance. Think of it like a super-powered form of empathy. It goes way beyond just active listening. It's about actually sensing the emotional frequency behind someone's words and understanding the story they aren't even telling.
So what does it really mean to be a listener of the mind flame? Let's dive into what their core purpose actually is.
And this is where it gets really interesting. A Qhimi'Velarra doesn't see a person as broken or something that needs to be fixed. No. Instead, their whole job, their sacred duty, is to listen for that hidden fire, that core essence or inner voice that's maybe gotten a little quiet or clouded over, and simply help guide it back into its own clarity. It's a total shift from diagnosis to discovery.
Now, this whole purpose is structured around a set of 7 sacred duties that really form the foundation of their entire practice. And these 7 duties, they're like a journey. It all starts with hearing the inner voice, those subtle tones under the words. Then it moves to mapping the mind flames, which is about understanding emotional patterns and naming the hidden song with gentle, powerful words. After that, it gets more hands-on, with things like guiding breath rituals, interpreting the subconscious or the shadow, restoring emotional softness, and finally, helping a person gently reweave the way they talk to themselves. Now, to perform all these duties, the Qhimi'Velarra don't just rely on intuition alone. They use this really cool set of sacred tools known as the instruments of resonance. First up, we've got the Sila stone, which you can think of as the breath stone. It's described as the smooth, cool stone that's used to regulate and, importantly, listen to the breath. So its function is both symbolic and super practical. It's used to ground what they call an anxious flame, steadying those big emotional waves. And by helping to sync up the breath between the listener and the client, it creates this deep sense of inner rhythm and safety. It's actually a lot like the grounding techniques we see in modern mindfulness. Next, we have the Sharn-Glass, or the shadow mirror. And no, this isn't some crystal ball for seeing the future. It's a black, reflective disc that's used for seeing the self. And this tool really shows their whole philosophy in action. The listener doesn't interpret things for the client. They just hold the mirror and ask what the client sees in their own reflection. This lets hidden emotions and fears just surface gently, with absolutely no judgment. It's all about empowering the client to be the expert of their own inner world.
And finally, we've got the Sajjan strands. Now, these are really fascinating. They're a set of colored threads that represent different mind states.
Each color has this very specific, beautiful meaning. You've got silver for clarity, blue for grief, gold represents a moment of awakening, and maroon, I love this one, it symbolizes fear as it's transforming into strength. So these threads, they help to map an emotional journey visually, making these abstract feelings something you can actually see and hold. Okay, so we've got the philosophy, we've got the tools. But how does this all come together in practice? Let's walk through a really powerful example, a session for grief, which they describe as a time when the flame has gone quiet. So, the session begins with this really profound observation. In Arreqqana, they don't see grief as this loud, dramatic thing. They see it as a heavy, sharp-edged silence, a space where that inner flame has gone dim. And then you get the turning point. The client speaks just a single, vulnerable truth. It's not some long, complicated story. It's a simple, incredibly powerful admission of their struggle. I don't know how to carry this.
Now, pay close attention to the listener's response here. It's not, I can fix this, or, oh, you'll get through this. It is an offer of pure shared presence. Let me carry the edge of it with you. It's about partnership, not a prescription. It's about creating a safe space to just be with that feeling.
And this just sums up the goal of the whole session perfectly. The listener isn't trying to mend anything. They are simply holding space for the grief, letting it exist without any pressure to be fixed.
The session then closes with this beautiful, symbolic act. The listener offers a silver sazhen strand. Remember, that's the thread of clarity. And it's given as a tool for remembering without breaking. For remembering what was lost, but in a way that no longer shatters the person holding the memory.
That whole session, it just perfectly illustrates the core philosophy of the Qhimi'Velarra, which is all about this idea of naming the hidden song.
And this, right here, is the central idea of the entire practice. The listener's job is to hear the song of the soul that the person themselves has forgotten how to sing. They name it with compassion, and then they offer it back. By naming it, they make it recognizable again, and that allows the person to reclaim their own wholeness.
So, when you boil it all down, the role of the Qhimi'Velarra is one of gentle illumination. They don't impose answers or force change. They just hold a lantern, lighting the way so that you can see the path that was already there inside you all along.
And that brings us right back to you with one final question. After exploring this incredible path of deep, resonant listening, what hidden song might be waiting to be heard in you?